You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Jai Herbert takes on Chris Padilla this Saturday on the prelims of UFC Fight Night London, England. And this is a tricky fight, but I think it's going to be really fun, really entertaining. Jai Herbert, been kind of a staple of British MMA since like 2014, 2015. Came up in the Cage Warriors promotion where he had, several fights there, became the champ, and then eventually transitioned over to the UFC where he's seen a little bit of success, but seen his fair share of losses as well. Taking on Chris Padilla, former D1 wrestler, I believe, out of California. Pretty well-rounded, pretty good jiu-jitsu, obviously good wrestling, good striking, really good defense on the feet, good leg kicks, good elbows. We saw his elbow against, Zhu Rongzhu in his last outing, which closed his eye and got him the doctor stoppage TKO. But very good takedown accuracy. I think he's got like 75% takedown accuracy. Just not the best record, though. He hasn't really faced elite competition, I would say, compared to Jai Herbert. But this is a kind of a weird fight because Jai Herbert's a fantastic striker, very good on the feet. But Chris Padilla can be dangerous as well, can slow him down with leg kicks because Herbert's shown to have a propensity to not check those and let them kind of slow him down. And I do think that Chris Padilla can get the takedowns if he shoots them on Jai Herbert, who just doesn't really come from a wrestling background. But I am going to go with Jai Herbert on this one, but it's really going to depend on where this fight takes place. If Chris Padilla can land elbows, land some kicks, get some takedowns to steal some rounds over Jai Herbert, I think he can get that done. But I trust Jai Herbert to defend the takedowns and keep it on the feet. He's got great boxing, jabs the body, has fast combos. Like I said, susceptible to leg kicks, so he's going to need to watch out for that in this one. But he showed a little bit to be more aggressive in his last fight against Rolando Bedoya, who's just absolutely winging punches at him. Whereas in the past, he seems like he takes a little while to get started and kind of needs to be woken up. But he is 36 and getting up there in age, but he's 6'1" with a 77-inch reach versus Padilla, who is 29 years old, 5'9", with a 74-inch reach. So he's going to have a 4-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage, and I just think Jai Herbert's fought much better competition. He's been, like I said, he was in Cage Warriors for the longest time, went on a 5-fight winning streak, including winning the belts, and then came into the UFC, and this will be his 8th or 9th UFC fight, whereas Chris Padilla, this will be his 3rd UFC fight. Jai Herbert coming off of that win over Rolando Bedoya, he just looked really good on the feet. Before that, lost to Faraz Ziam. Lost by unanimous decision, but I feel like that should have been at least been a split. Not a lot that happened. They were just kind of pitter-pattering on the feet. And he kind of just lost a technical striking match against Faraz, who turns out to be, very high level on a really great win streak right now. Lost to Ludovic Klein, but he was beating up Ludovic Klein in that fight. And he lost a point in the 3rd round, which caused it to go to a draw. Otherwise, he would have won that fight by decision, and that's a huge feather in his cap. I think Ludovic Klein is elite at lightweight in the UFC. I think he's got tons of potential. So the fact that Jai Herbert was kind of getting the better of him everywhere says a lot. Really the only guy to hurt Ilia Topuria. Caught him with I think it was a head kick in the pocket and dropped Ilia on his face and almost got the KO, but ended up getting KO'd himself. But amazing performance. The fact that he could even, catch somebody like Ilia, who I think is, pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the UFC right now. Beat Kama Worthy, but then lost to Renato Moicano and Francisco Trinado, who are both absolute savages. There's no shame in losing to these 4 guys that he's lost to in the UFC. And again, it's tons of experience that he's gaining in fighting these guys. And these guys are so much better than Chris Padilla, I think. The odds show Chris Padilla or Jai Herbert at a -120 versus Chris Padilla at +100. I think it's just because Chris Padilla has the takedown threat and he has decent jiu-jitsu as well, and great elbows. So if he can get him to the ground, he can do a lot of damage with his elbows and potentially get a choke on him or some type of submission, I think. He's also very good on the feet defensively, so it's going to be hard for Jai Herbert to really land on him, I think. And again, the leg kicks are going to be a big piece of this fight, but I would expect Jai Herbert to be a much bigger favorite because I do think that he's much faster, more athletic, and just the all-around better striker, better fighter. But he is getting up there in age. he hasn't taken tons of damage in his fights. He just, he got finished by Topuria, but that was almost exactly 3 years ago. Outside of that, he's gone on to a lot of decisions, but not really taking tons of damage in any of those fights. He's usually the one dishing it out. So I find the odds are strange that he's not a bigger favorite. So I'll be curious to see how they change as we get closer to the fight. But I'm definitely going to go with Jai Herbert. I think he keeps on the feet, lands the better strikes, deals with the leg kicks by Chris Padilla. Maybe gets taken down, but is able to get back up to his feet. We saw him do a lot of damage against Ludovic Klein off of his back. That really won him the round, honestly. Up kicks, elbows from bottom, did the more damage than Ludovic Klein in round 1 to get that round secured. So I'm going to go with Jai Herbert. I think he gets this one done by decision. Thanks.